Content warning. The following show contains smoking, harsh language, possibly some unpopular opinions that aren't necessarily hot takes. But we want everyone to know that if you disagree with what we say, engage with us on it. In good faith. We're not out to attack you. Some of you, we just plain see. That being said, viewer discretion is advised. Okay, that was not a bad thing to say. You're getting a lot better at that. All right. Well, I'm trying. I really am. So, should we start the show? Yeah, start the music. Hey, how you doing out there? What is up? What is up? I am Solar Gray, the cinematic sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And man, I can tell you, I'm all into the thing today because my hair is just going all over the place. Sorry about the delay today, guys. For some reason, y'all know what Windows is like. They're like, oh, you did a thing. Well, you weren't here yesterday. You were doing a thing from elsewhere, so we're just going to update your thing. That's what we're going to do. And I'm like, no, stop updating stuff when I'm out of You're like an 8-year-old. That's what you are. You're an 8-year-old when I leave town, and it's like, oh, dude, that's not here. Let's do some stuff and all that jazz. But I'm back. I am here, and we got some stuff to talk about today. Again, I am so sorry for being late today. It's been a thing. But let's see. So we are on day 8 of my new player journey. And if you guys tuned in yesterday, thank you. Thank you so much for being here yesterday as I went on my flagship journey into the Hammers of War 40,000. Ahoy, 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 Xanathades. What is going on? I gotta say, yesterday was special because I was on the road and there's a lot of monitoring I didn't have, and boy did I find out I need to buy new lav mics. So you live, you learn, you buy diapers, and that is just the whole thing on that. But if you guys want to get in contact with me and talk about a few things with me, like hit up I don't know, various other things, talk about games and stuff like that, well, what you can do is pull up your email. Just open up your email. Go to that little place that says to, and type in back in the deck at gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. You can also hit me up over on the Instagram and the Twitter. Yeah, I've got all those social medias and all that stuff. Oh my God. So there is so much stuff that's going all there. So many things. Got some other announcements real quick. Cause yeah, that's a whole lot. But if you are also, what's going on, Daryl? Thank you for watching over on the YouTubes. That's right. We got the YouTubes and all that stuff going. Thank you so much for being here. And I literally, and I mean literally, just got word from the HBO. If y'all don't know, I'm gonna teach you right now. The HBO is the Help a Brother Out organization. All right, the Help a Brother Out. And what we are going to do is we are going, because we got the announcement, what? Okay, we got the announcement an hour ago, but I'm just now seeing it. All right. So, again, I've been fighting with the computer and all that stuff. So what we gonna do, real quick, is we are going. We are going to head over. Okay, we're gonna head over to the YouTubes really quick, y'all. All right, we gotta head over to them tubes of you to help out our brother Nerd Soul. All right, he is on the road, he is doing his thing, and of course, as y'all know, I do stuff with him. So this is what we are going to do right now on screen. All right, we are going to head on over and we are going to give a thumbs up to the episode of Star Trek Strange New World that I'm on, and then we are going to add a smiley face to let people know, yeah, I'm here, what's up, I'm here. And I am unusual, and y'all just need to get used to it. So let's see here. What is... Oh, there we go. Yeah. Look at all that. What's up? What's going on? All right, so we're going to do that there. And this man, even though he has been on the road for the forevers, all right? And I mean this. He has been on the road forever, holding it down with family, holding it down with work. He is doing a lot, and I mean a lot. And my man here did a little bit of hooking up with the Screen Crushers. Okay, so what we gonna do, because he's like at Screen Crush and he is commenting on Secret Invasion, so we gonna go over there and say what's up. And of course we're leaving a comment. Hold up. Got you, brother. There we are. I'm doing this live on air. I get. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I leave terribly marked comments. So, if you guys are willing to do a little bit of that, you know, seriously, man, like, the thumbs up, the sharing, the subscribing. Literally, that's how you help a brother out. Literally, that's it. You see how long that took? That's all most of the people are asking for, doing the YouTube things, because, again, the man is on the road just like I am, and doing all that jazz. So, help a brother out by leaving a like and a comment, all that jazz. And now we can get on to a good amount of the rest of the show. So, yesterday, hang on. Why is that not coming up? Oh, that's why. I really got to clean my office, y'all. Like, seriously, I got to clean this place up. So, and I put out the announcement saying, hey, we're here, we're on the air. So I got to do a little bit more sharing of that. But I want to talk to y'all about yesterday, because there were so many things that came down yesterday. I want to give a major thanks and major love, major shouts out to our people at Guildhouse Games. Just head on over to Facebook, give those guys a thumbs up and a like and a comment and all that jazz, because yeah, seriously, yesterday they sponsored our episode by allowing us to set up shop in their shop. And I mean, this is why it's so important, and this is like what community is. All right, Guildhouse Games, y'all, is closed on Mondays. So Charles and Monica, to help out the channel, literally went in on their day off. Okay, they went in on their day off and let us set up the studio. They let us and they played a game. They taught me my first game of Warhammer 40K, and that is some serious stuff. Like, we seriously got the hookup. And I got thoughts on the game that I played yesterday. But what I'm doing right now is I am letting people know that we're here, that we're on the air, and we're doing all that jazz right now. There we go. All these people are like, yeah, thumbs up, I'll tune into the show. Yeah, we'll see. All right, we'll see. Well, we'll see. Unless the thumbs up means stop talking to me. But anyway. So, yeah. So, we did that whole thing. And yesterday, we even got raided by Double Toasted in the middle of the game. So yesterday was big, all right? But the title of this one is, of course, New Player Journey Day 8. Now, I have said a lot of things about the Warhammers, the 40Ks over the years. And over the past few weeks, when I've been learning how to actually play the game, not the lore, not all that other stuff that comes with it, just playing the game, I definitely had a lot to say on it. Like, oh, I don't know. One, bada boom. Yeah, that game is crunchy. That game is so crunchy. I have chipped quite a few teeth in learning these rules. Oh my god. And there's still so much that I forgot to do. There was a lot of stuff that's there. You know I'm there for Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, Zenith Age, you hold it down, man. For me, for Nerd Soul, for the War Mistress. I'm like, bro, you're a real one. You're a real one. I'm digging. I'm really digging. I might want to talk to you eventually about making you a moderator on on either here or on the YouTubes. I'm not quite sure, but seriously, man, you're showing to be a ride or die, and hopefully, your as my kid would call it, date mate, what I call significant other, is watching, and if so, hello. One day it will be very nice to meet you. Now, as we move on. So I started playing yesterday, and I played my very first game of Combat Patrol. And for those of you that aren't in the know, okay, Combat Patrol is part of Warhammer. I've got too much time on my hands. Too much time on my hands is taken away from my sanity. If it seems like I'm a little punch drunk, it's because today was the first day I didn't wake up in abject pain since Friday. And this is solar without ibuprofen, so this is kind of what I'm like. So on all that, what I gotta say is, for those of you guys that aren't in the know, Combat Patrol is a new way to play Warhammer 40K that the companies themselves, the Games Workshop themselves, is very much dangling a carrot in front of new players. And it's something I get. Now, again, what they do is they have these things. Yeah, I know, $160. Good Lord. Good Lord. Look, oh my God, it's $160 to buy a bunch of these models, right? And I get that. I know where that is coming from, because I'm sitting up like Chris Rock going, good Lord, $160. And for a lot of people, that's not exactly a lot of money. Because before my mom passed, I told her all the time, the 5 is the new 1. Because I remember, like, if you guys are wondering where I do all that stuff, it's real simple, okay? When I was a kid, they used to sell these generic fruit pies and chocolate pies and stuff at the grocery store. When I was a kid and I was actually eating them, they cost 5 for $1. Now they're $1.29. That says a lot, don't it? It says I'm old. And Daryl, yeah, let's see here. It's so weird with so many. Hang on, let me see if I can make this out. Been going Rogue Trader. Oh, you've been playing Rogue Trader. Yeah, I wants to know about some of that, yo. Let's take a look here. Dislike the whole you must either hit the number or less for success. That's been changed. It's so weird. So many do other things. When Warhammer kind of does the COFD or WOD with hitting a number on dice for success, yeah, then you got to paint. Yeah, exactly. So you're spending $160 on the models, then you got to glue them together and paint them and all that stuff. I'm literally working on Combat Patrol number 12 right here. Yeah, number 12, because of all the 3D printing that I do. And yeah, I'm that guy. I ain't ashamed to be that guy. I'm sorry, man. Well, let me get the taste of shoe leather and yard dirt out of my mouth. Serious condolences on that. So we will have a beer over discourse, and by that I mean you have a beer, I'll have a coffee, and we'll listen to some Tom Waits and talk about all the relationships that we've gone through. All right, seriously, that's real talk. Um, but yeah, but instead of a lot of other miniatures games where you buy thousands of dollars worth of stuff and then you put all this other stuff together and you try and get the right teams and the right this and the right that, I'm like, dude, I'm older. I'm tired. Okay? Can I just, you know, I was spoiled when I was playing the I Go You Go games with War Machine, where War Machine you could buy essentially combat teams and their warcasters or their starter boxes. Their starter boxes were really cool. They were relatively inexpensive for that kind of hobby. And there was no changing up the loadout and all that stuff. You still built lists, but the lists weren't so granular. You could take a robot that had these weapons, or you could take a different robot. That's it. It wasn't about taking this robot with this loadout, with this axe and this gun, and this warcaster that had this spells and it literally was. It was a lot closer to building your deck in a card game versus a lot of other games like Warhammer 40K was always build your deck, but you have an option of what each card in your deck does. Okay. Oh, cool. We got a couple of Sedge Tupac, Stormy Rains. Thank you guys for following yesterday. That actually meant a whole lot. Let's see. So, GW essentially, with their 10th edition, they got on the 21st century kick, and they released a lot of stuff. You know, they released a lot of stuff. They're like, look, we're having an index system, so here, download the indexes and play our game. We've got a new thing called Combat Patrol. So buy this box, play with these figures, and here are the rules for buying the box and playing the game. And I said, oh, really? All right. So I decided to learn how to play. And this has been a journey. Now, the journey isn't over because I've only played one game of Combat Patrol. Just one. Hey, what's going on, Nerd Soul? Yep, HBO Max, brother. HBO Max, all right? And we ain't talking about $5 a month. We're just saying a couple of likes, subscribes, some shares, just a few button clicks. That's it. So, but yeah, I told you, man, we boys, right? I got you. So, since I've been 3D printing for years now, and you guys watch me do all the stuff, and we have our tutorial videos, I figured I'd put together the combat patrols and I'd play the games. And something strange and unusual happened to me in our 3.5-hour game, or our 3.5-hour show yesterday. I had fun. And I was mad as heck. I was so mad because with all the crunchy rules and all the stuff that I forgot, the number one rule of being a gamer reared its ugly head. Okay, and if you guys are new to gaming and all that stuff, take note, because I don't care if you're a video gamer, a card gamer, a board gamer, a tabletop minis gamer, or a TTRPGer. Okay, y'all know I'm all of the above. I gotta say, it's not what you play, but who you play with. And playing with the owner of Guildhouse Games in Bellflower, California, is always a pleasure. He was a little mad with me when I got there because he had a whole day of teaching Stargrave from Osprey Games, and I planned on showing up with gimmies. I made a bunch of if you guys are wondering what I used that bottle of resin that y'all sponsored me for, I made that. I made the Dreadnought, and I made up some freebies to give to a lot of No, that's rule number 2 then, because we don't like things that are different. I made up a bunch of stuff for Stargrave and some model neutral games for the Back in the Deck programs, and Charles was sponsoring the Stargrave thing where he dedicated the whole store to Stargrave on Saturday. But I was so injured from work on Thursday, I couldn't go. And I'm like, I made up a bunch of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Well, look, we'll take care of it, another time. And he was like, seriously? You couldn't get out of bed? I'm like, I manually moved about 1.5 tons of material in 124 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I couldn't move. Um, so yeah, that's a thing. Hey, what's up, Pencil Image? Mm. Yeah, rule number one, don't be a dork, because this is a family friendly channel on Roblox. So yeah, change your name from Richard. That is a good number one rule. But I mean, the number one rule of gaming all over the place. You can have the best game, like, you can have a game with the tightest mechanics, the tightest rules, some of the best balance, some of the most outrageously cool lore. And if you're playing with someone who is a Richard, i.e., a bad sport, or someone who's playing really, really hard, because they're trying to make you better even though you don't know any of the rules to the game, that will ruin the experience. I think a lot of gamers call them feel bad moments. And, you know, over here at Back in the Deck, we're trying to cultivate, hey, what's going on, Gaming Fix? Yeah, we're trying to cultivate a community, an actual community, not just like bunches of people online, but we're trying to cultivate an actual community that's open to new players. We share stuff, we be friends, we talk to people, because I'm in my mid 40s and that's how it used to be in my day, and believe it or not, we actually did like it. But we stopped doing that in the 21st century because stranger danger took over. But also part of being that is when somebody is being a jerk at the table, we as a collective are like, dude, don't do that. What was that for? Why you got to be like that, man? Nah, man, you got to go. You being real messy. You got to clean that up. That is what we are here for. That is what we do. But yesterday, I seriously learned why Warhammer 40K has such a large following. I know it's a new edition, but I genuinely had fun. And it was special for me yesterday because not only did I play a game that I swore I would never play. I swore I'd never learn how to play that game. But I also, and this is big, of the game I never played, I end up playing the army that I didn't like. If you guys are not new to the channel, you'll know I am the only elves I'm only partly a fan of are Vulcans. That's it. Not a big fan of the elves. I like individual elves from stories like, my Lord of the Rings elves are freaking Glorfindel and Gilgalad all day. Specifically Glorfindel, he was the dude, Nazgul hunter, and he was replaced in the movies, and grr, salt, 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 old man yelling at clouds. Love Spock, but all in all, as far as elves go, not really my bag, and I played the Eldari. And I am so glad they got nerfed. Because I keep up with a lot of stuff, and as you guys know, I play Grimdark Firefight from One Page Rules, along with Grimdark Future from One Page Rules, which is the lightweight, inspired by but legally distinct from version of Warhammer 40k. Okay, it's got different lore, but it's essentially a copy paste. I'm not going to say the dime store version. I'm going to say the Donna Karen, New York of Warhammer 40k, owned by a bunch of great guys who are all about playing the game. It's a lot simpler. It's a lot faster to play. So there's a lot to it, and I like it very much. Okay. But yesterday, why y'all texting me now? Okay, that's just an announcement from DJ Miles. Real talk. I'm all about playing games. And the owner of One Page Rules, I saw him say this with my own eyes. He said people don't play complicated games, they talk about complicated games. And even back in my days of War Machine, When I was supposed to play War Machine with my friend, I would show up at 3 o'clock and we'd start the game at 9, but we'd be talking about it that whole time. And I'm like, let's not talk about it, let's be about it. I came here to play. Let's do some playing, type of thing. And this combat patrol system, it's essentially played on two kill team boards, and a kill team board, one of their other games, is essentially the standard size of a board game. So take a Monopoly board and a Sorry board, and you put them together fat ways, and that's your board. That's the size. And you buy the box, you play the box, or you get minis that counts as in the box. And I'm like, yeah, exactly, Xanathates. I love Talking Mates The Ascension. I can't stand running it. But I love playing. But no one can stand running that game, let's be real. But yeah, you play the game, and my first game took about 2.5 hours because I had a bunch of questions. Okay, I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that do. Can you explain to me what that means? You guys can watch it. It's yesterday's episode. The sound is a little wonky because I need to get more lav mics, and I'm working on that. Hopefully, when I get my next check, that will be at the top of my list to order. Got to choose between that and more resin. But, yeah, so, also, just saying, if y'all feel like donating on that front, let me just, boop-a-doop-boo. Boop boo. There you go. Here's the donation tab. If y'all wanna throw some cash at that, feel free. If not, I understand. I'm broke. Why should I expect that you guys not be broke? All right, that's real. But still, like and share this and all that stuff. Leave comments. Interact, guys. Interact. Anyway, hey, that Solar Gray guy. I hear he's kind of a jerk. Anyway, so as I was saying, I played the game, and I had fun. It is a lot to calculate what you need when you're rolling damage. You have to be fully cognizant of the stats of your opponent, unless you just like rolling, okay? And one thing I've noticed is over the years, when I talk to Warhammer 40k people, especially lately, the major thing I get is, well, in the old days, back in 2nd edition, or back in 5th edition, or back in the edition that was newer than 9th edition, and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, so you guys are telling stories from the glory days. I get that. I'm the new guy. And when you're the new guy, there's always a level of that. I don't care if you're new at work, new in a class, new to anything. There is going to be a level of people going, yeah, well, it wasn't always like this. There was a time called the 1980s, and the youth spent most of their time in this place called the outside. When you go to that outside place, type of thing. All right? But what I have to say is, coming from a clean place, a place of someone who's never played the game, playing my very first game under the rules that just came out with Combat Patrol, I have to say, I like what I did. I look forward to playing more Combat Patrol. It was relatively fast for a minis game. It was fun. I think by my 3rd or 4th, I'll understand a lot of the stuff. Hey, Pencil, is that, yep, Pencil Mage. Hang on. Excuse me. I had to burp a little bit. And I'm aware of the Pencil Mage. The Pencil Mage. God, I'm a nerd. So I really look forward to playing more games. Now, here's some of the things that I don't like about the game. I know it's been simplified, and I know you guys that played in 9th edition have your thoughts on that. And believe me, I'm open to hearing them, though I've heard many, many of them over the past couple of years that I've been studying and watching battle reports. Um, with Combat Patrol at least, and I know no codexes have been released, so I get that, okay? But the three stratagems or special superpowers that you can play during the game for each army is cool. The dozen or so, don't quote me, I'm not looking at the book, of the core stratagems, yeah, when you go in, the things you have to the things you have to remember are the special abilities of each one of your units. And with Combat Patrol, it tends to be 2 to 3 units, and the units being, you have to know the special stuff of your leader, and of your infantry unit, and of your elite unit, and of the special things that comes with it, be it the vehicle or the walker. So that's 4 different sets of things you got to keep in mind. And then you've got your overall army special ability, like I played the Eldari, and they've got fate dice. And that's big. That's really big. And then on top of that, I had to remember the 3 stratagems, understand how they work, and then the dozen stratagems. So there's a lot to remember. And with that, I have to say, if you guys out there have only been exposed to miniatures games through Warhammer 40K, okay? The games that are made by other companies, okay, if you ever want to step outside of the Games Workshop's biosphere, if you want to step out of their environment, their ecosystem, of all the games that I've learned over my time, and like I said yesterday on air, the games that I played before learning Combat Patrol are, and these are just the tabletop minis games, okay? We're not talking board games, card games, or RPGs, or video games, okay? But the tabletop minis games that I play are Gaslands, Rangers of Shadowdeep, Frostgrave, Stargrave, Ghost Archipelago, the DC Universe game, Fallout, let's see, yep, Fallout, what am I missing? Used to play War Machine, don't do it anymore. Battletech / Alpha Strike, because they are 2 different games, and Grimdark Future from One Page Rules and Grimdark Firefight from One Page Rules. Okay. Yes, the phases are still in, except they got rid in 8th edition. There is no psychic phase. Your psychers can use their spells during the specified time for each spells. Most of the spells are weapons, but like Smite is gone. But I was fine with not having Smite because my little Eldritch guy had his own thing, and he had a psychic weapon that hit really hard, and I was really happy about that. Now, I just named a dozen tabletop minis games that I play currently when I can. Oh yeah, I forgot about Dead Zone. So 13. Okay, so Combat Patrol is number 14 that I play currently. The next Decker Day, I'm going to have a table for each one of these things. I just want you guys to know. So that's a lot of games that I play. All right, and what I can say is Warhammer 40K is the most granular and the most... Oh yeah, I forgot about HeroClix, so 15. Warhammer 40K is the most granular and the most rules heavy and the most psychologically and mentally taxing mini war game I've ever played. So here's the thing, guys. If this is the only one you've ever played, I just named a dozen other games that aren't as complicated and that are just as fun. Okay, think about that. Because here's my thinking on it. What is Smite? Daryl Smite was essentially the number one used magic spell in Warhammer 40k in previous editions. Okay, that was essentially like, I don't know, a d6 plus one damage from a psychic attack thing. So yeah, it was one of the most popular known. I know it because I watch a lot of battle reports, and I've not seen a battle report before 10th edition where someone didn't cast Smite. Um, Now, for those of you guys that don't play 40k or aren't familiar with that ecosystem, um, one of the reasons I didn't like them was because of the codex system. Essentially, it was, you can buy the main rule book for $60. Then you spend hundreds of dollars on figures. But if you wanted to know what those figures did, you had to buy the codex for another. Thank you, Zenith H. Yes, Smite was the generic magic missile spell, Daryl. But if you wanted to know what the figures that you just spent $500, no, I'm not exaggerating, on, if you wanted to know what they could do, you needed the codec. And if you didn't have the codex, you had to find other means, like look up the stuff online. But when I say online, I don't mean the Games Workshop website, because they never published them through their site. You had to go to somewhere like Wikipedia or make photocopies of other people's books. It was a chore. Or you could pay $50 to Games Workshop and buy the codec for your thing. But if you didn't, you had no way to play with the toys that you just bought. And I'm like, I'll tell you guys this. I love Las Vegas, okay? I love going to Las Vegas. I love doing a little gambling. I love Fremont Street, you know. I love the $2 hot dogs. I love watching really talented buskers. Love it. Love the whole thing. Love the whole vibe, okay? But I went to Vegas one time and I looked at the Aria Hotel. And I hate that hotel. Because most hotels in Vegas, they come with a theme. You know, the Paris has a Parisian theme, and the Excalibur is like, if you come here, everything is medieval, and the Luxor is like, hey, you guys that think you like ancient Egypt, come on down. You know, you get shows and all that stuff. Where the Aria is just a hotel. It's a big hotel with a mall that has stores like Prada and Gucci. So you go into there and you don't get an atmosphere. They're just like, wow, I'm in the Aria. I wonder what this thing's gig is. Like, what's the theme of this hotel? And the hotel says the change in your freaking pockets and the rings on your freaking fingers. Now give them. You know, and that's what 40K felt like with the codex system. You know, let's see. Like, it's not simply how certain squads are affected by the book, it's the whole army. So it comes off to me as very feast or famine depending on who you play. Sometimes it did, especially since the codex system wasn't regularly updated. But every new codec that came out was we're not talking power creep, we are talking power sprint from the last set of stuff. So a friend of mine played the Sisters of Battle. Another friend of mine plays the Drew Carey. And those two codexes, for the people who spent their money and their time and their energy buying the figures and the paints and the glue and putting the figures together and all that other stuff, but when they played with Space Marines or Necrons or anything else, excuse me, they didn't just lose. They barely got to play because the codexes were so far out of date, okay? And it took the Drukhari and the Battle Sisters 10 years to get their codexes, while other codexes got, or other factions got 2 or 3 different updates. and that was just not cool. Um, but with this index system, I like it very much because the index is this is what all the figures in the game do, play that. And with Combat Patrol, they give different stats, but those are fixed with the box that you get. And no, they're not the same stats as you would get in the index cards. So it's a completely different game that has practically the same rules as 40K. And I like that. Not to be confused with Kill Team, but it's a thing. So, in truth, that became really, really expensive and I hated it. So since they came into the 21st century, I'm like, you know what? I will give them the benefit of the doubt. They got my letter. They did the thing I wanted them to do. So let me give them a shot. And it's really cool. I like it. When I talk to my friends who used to play 40K, they tell me I don't trust them. I've been burned by them before, and I get it. A friend of mine, who's out in Oregon, explained to me, the burn before thing, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk about today in our last segment. Okay, reflection of it's not what you play, but who you play with that really matters. Now, this is something that I've gone through over the past 20-something years of teaching people how to play games. All right? I am not a person who plays hard. Okay? I'm not out there to win. I'm not out there to dominate. I mean, I play the game to win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just out there going whoop, whoop, woo, not entirely. We've talked about the three types of gamers, the Timmy, the Johnny, the Spike. All right? I know a lot of Spikes, the win at all costs, the chasing the Codex guys. I know those dudes, okay? And I've never been one. I've never had the desire to be one. Okay? That's real talk. I classify myself as a Timmy who has Johnny tendencies. Johnny is the one that goes, I wonder if this combo will work. Or it's described in the article that was written about it. They like to win their way. Okay? And I'm not that guy. And Timmy's just like putting stuff on the table. Like this guy right here, he looks pretty cool. All right? He looks pretty cool. Look at this guy. All right? I'm looking forward to putting him on the table. I don't care if he's powerful. I just want to put him on the table and play him for a turn. That's what I'd like to do. Okay? And if I do that, woohoo, Pyrrhic victory. I'm happy. As you guys have seen me paint so many big models from one-page rules. I like the dragons. I like the big stompy robots. I love the monsters. And I put the monsters on the table. And if my monsters make it through the second turn, I am elated. I'm great. Whether or not I win, I'm like, my big stompy monster is here. Stompy, 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 stompy. And I'm so happy about that. Okay? But when I teach people how to play games, I teach them how to play games. And one of the first things that a lot of new players do is they try and go places outside of the environment that I cultivate. So I teach them how to play games. Like, I'll teach them the basic rules, and I'm like, yeah, let's play some games. And when I teach slowly. I teach a person how to play. I don't teach a person how to win. This is very important, guys, because since I don't teach people how to win on their very first game, when they leave my presence, they'll go to straight tournaments. And tournaments are the places where the win-at-all-cost players live and thrive. Like, that's their house. It's not my house. And a lot of folks have a problem playing games casually. And I don't mean they got a problem. No, I mean there is a difficulty in playing games casually in the sense of it's hard to find people to play with sometimes. Okay? I go through this quite a bit. And and I want to put this out there with you guys too. Hang on. Wow, comments are all up. Yeah, Xanathades. I claim to be a Johnny, but win my own way doesn't necessarily mean winning the game. I might be playing an entirely different game to entertain myself. Yeah, that's called a Pyrrhic victory. Okay. Let's see, Daryl. Simply how certain squad. Okay, yeah, I got that one. I would say just play the codex that had your army and their strongest. Yeah. Then I hear with the objective systems that is set up now, speed and power are the name of the game unless you can completely shrug off damage. And you care if they work. This is what I'm learning. Okay. And this is something that I see in every, and I mean this, every single place of geekdom, and I think it's so fun. A lot of folks love complaining about stuff before they experience it. Okay? I was talking with quite a few people not long ago about the combat patrols, and one of the most common refrains right now is hang on, a Pyrrhic victory is something else. That would be like playing the game and winning even though you don't enjoy it. See, the definition of Pyrrhic victory that I learned was being able to accomplish a thing. You may lose the game, but you were able to pull off that combo. Or, I might lose the game, but I'm taking down that model. If I get tabled, fine, but I'm gonna take down that walker or that knight or that character. That's how I've always understood Pyrrhic victories to be. I could be mistaken because I don't know everything. I mean, seriously. Yeah. But as I was saying, a lot of folks complain about things before they see them in play. I do the same thing. I was talking with a very good friend of mine about the Thousand Suns combat patrol. And it's really interesting in the sense of, how can I put this? So the combat patrol itself has 3 Terminators, okay? One really strong dude and 20 chumps. What I'm noticing is that a lot of the Chaos armies have that going for itself. They have a bunch of little dudes. And there's this new thing out there with objective stuff called objective control. And so you'll have like a group of zombies. Look at the zombies. What's in your head? Zombies. And those zombies, okay, will have an objective control of 1. But as we were talking about yesterday with Charles, that means 1 objective control point per zombie. So those zombies are out there and they're like, this objective is ours. And you have to hack and slash your way through 20 zombies in order to score, or through 10 zombies to get the objective. And I think that's very cool. Like, I like the power fantasy of I am a zombie lord. I like that. Look at me. I'm Lord of the Dead. Yeah, Lord of the Dead. Look at the Lord of the Dead, And yeah, they're slow and they don't shrug off damage as well as they used to. But what I can see between the battle reports that I've watched and this is also important, guys, between the battle reports that I've watched and the game, the way that I read the rules, the game is a lot less win by tabling your opponent than it used to be. And I think that's kind of cool, So, now, make no mistake. I say this coming from the perspective of someone who used to study war tactics for school. Okay, and I mean, I had to do it for school. So I'm like, okay, well, if the object is to take this part of the board for my own, I got to put someone there. Oh, hang on. Pyrrhic victory is almost the opposite. You win the battle, but it's such a great cost that you're worse off for it. Okay, thank you. See, thank you. I love learning stuff, man. This is cool. So yeah, not a Pyrrhic victory, but I would say a moral victory. Then would that be a better phrase for it? Let me know. Um, so yeah. So as I was saying, but a lot of people complain about stuff before they play it. Okay. Real talk. As I said, I'm not a big fan of elves in general, but I kind of like the elves from 40K. Because even though they're hoity-toity, they know that they are not in the best position. And I like that. They're like, yeah, we're hoity-toity, but it's habit. I'm sorry. We definitely need help. And everything is terrible for everybody. So I'm like, okay, I can deal with the elves. And given what their lore and stuff is, I kind of dig it. A friend of mine who's far deeper into the lore is like, what if I told you, Neo, that the real elves are the Drukhari, and the craft world were less elves and more Puritans. I'm like, I always interpreted them as the guys that left the party going, man, y'all going too hard. Y'all doing too much. I gotta go. That's what I took them as. But again, different strokes, different folks, different interpretations. And that was something that I kind of dug, thought it was cool. So yeah, we move on. I don't want to start talking about the Second Punic War, Xanathades, because I wouldn't stop talking. It's one of my favorite history. It's one of my favorite periods in the ancient history. Hamilcar Barca was my dude. Okay, loved Hamilcar Barca. So yeah, matter of fact, one day I would like to go to Tunisia just so that I could see, Carthage on its own turf. You know what I mean? That's one of the things I'd really like to do one day. I'd enjoy that very much. So yeah, moving on. So the thing I want to talk to you guys about as far as this subject goes is this. As I said earlier in this episode, it's not just what you play, it's who you play with. Okay? A lot of folks, hang on. I think I just chipped another tooth. A lot of folks have this very quiet agenda that I don't particularly like dealing with, which is they want to learn a game from someone like me, and then they want to take that knowledge and conquer the world with it immediately. Okay? And here's the thing, guys. This is coming from a place of love and comfort and joy. That's not something that you can always do. All right? A good amount of the time, especially when you're playing games, you won't have the thing mastered after your first game. Now, according to 40K players, and this is just what I've learned from a couple of them recently, you can't really talk about what the game is or isn't until your 100th or so game. If that's the case, I ain't really interested. I liked what I played, but also, yes, I won yesterday's game. That's no guarantee that I'm going to win again. Those dice were on fire. Okay, they were made of lava. They were on fire. When I did my miracle dice roll, I ended up getting 5 6s. Or my fate dice rolls. Yeah, I ended up getting 5 6s. That's insane. Okay, I was able to bank a bunch of critical hits over the course of the game. That's crazy. And that doesn't happen all the time, y'all. It really don't happen all the time. So I don't know if my next game is going to be like that. I don't know if I'm ever going to have a game like that again. All right? That's the truth of it. Yesterday, I had fun. I had fun being silly, and it does warm my heart that that I can still be absurd at the game table with a lot of folks. You know, that really does. In the words of Eons of Battle, that Jimmy's my jams. It flims my flams. You know, I even got to make my perverse anime voice. You know, when we were playing the game, I'm like, no, 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 I'm not being that guy, because I'm not talking like this. You know, he laughed, I laughed, fun was had. That's what I play games for. That is 100% my reason. Am I gonna lose next time I play? I don't know, probably. You know, but as I'm saying, what do you look for when it comes to people that you play with? Okay, the number one thing that I tend to look for is understanding. My most recent ex was the worst person to play games with because they put their own identity on the line with every game they played, regardless of the rules. And they wouldn't believe that winning was not really my intention. I'm not out there to make people feel bad. I'm just playing a game. And they hated it when I said, you know, this isn't fun for me, so I'm gonna not play. I'm like, this was not that fun. Sorry, I'm out. And I come to find out years later that a lot of the games that we played, other people soured her on, and she never told me. And I'm like, well, next time let me know and understand I'm not them, you know? But that's neither here nor there. The important part about that is she was a win at all cost player. And, you know, she wanted to be a Spike. I am a Timmy. I was just like, woo, look at all that stuff. Now, again, I had fun because I was able to play with someone yesterday that understood that. I know way down in places that I talk about at parties and then people walk away because it gets awkward, that's not always going to be the case. Okay? And I talk about this a lot, and a lot of people are like, no, I'm a casual player. I'm like, no, you're not. You just don't go to tournaments. But you list build like you're going to a tournament. You get angry like you're at a tournament, you know? And that tends to be what I mean when I talk about tournament players and that kind of thing. Because that's the type of play that I don't play and I don't enjoy. And when I say don't play, I mean that's the kind of play that I personally don't engage in. All right? Because engaging in that kind of play, it's not really the thing that I want it to do ever, you know? I come from a place, like in my culture, if you are close to the hood at all, okay? As in, grew up in the hood, have friends that are from the hood, everything about growing up in the hood is about finding power where you can because you feel so powerless all the time. Okay? So there's a lot of making fun of things. There's a lot of tearing people down, even if it's in good fun. Like one of our main pastimes in the hood is called playing the dozens, where you bag on each other, i.e., the origin of where all the yo mama jokes come from. Okay? And I got good by getting my butt kicked at the dozens over and over again. So I can look at somebody and say, your mama's teeth so messed up when she smiles it looks like she got a mouthful of dice. I can say that. But that's not the game I want to play every time I sit down and play a game. Sometimes I want to play a war game. Sometimes I want to play a card game. Sometimes I just want to laugh, you know? And every time I play a game, I want everyone involved to have fun. Okay? I want other people to laugh and smile and want to do it again. That's why I play games and what I play games for. Now, just because that's my method doesn't mean that's going to be everybody's method. So I have to be discerning, because some people, and this is not a character slight, okay? I am not attacking anyone. Woohoo! The whole combat patrol fit right there. All right, this is cool. And now they're all magnetized. Isn't that fun? Some people are incapable of enjoying a game unless they win. I get that. You know, some people find fun in the mastery of the thing. Some people go into games because they just want to be good at something. I get it. But if that's where you're coming from, and you won't feel good, or more to the point, if the only way that you know how to enjoy yourself is to dominate, you have to be aware of that part about yourself. This episode, we were very fortunate because I was taught something. I was taught the actual definition of a Pyrrhic victory, and now I can take that knowledge and use it properly in the future. I think that's awesome. I'm not always about being right. I'm not about being in charge or dominant. And keep in mind, this is my channel, my page, my subject matter, my show. And somebody taught me something. I think that's great, but I'm not like everybody. And there are a lot of people who don't jam like that. And this is no judgment on them. This is no judgment. What I am saying is that when you're looking to learn new games, when you're looking to learn anything new that involves other people, you have to be aware of yourself to know what is it that causes your own fun. Are you doing this to dominate? Are you doing this to feel like you're good at something? Are you in this to adventure or experience? Whatever your reason, the important thing is to be clear on it. Because I'll tell you, I've taught quite a few people how to play games, and who they are as people determined a lot of what their purpose was. You know, I am a wizard. A wizard, by definition, is a scholar. So I like learning stuff. All right? I love learning new games. I love learning new rules. This is how I'm a Johnny. I love intellectually batting things around like a kitten with a ball of yarn. My friends who are athletes like winning. They like dominating. They like rrr, rrr, rrr. And I know some people that are bullies, or at least they want to be bullied. And what I mean is, they don't just want to win. They don't just want to crush you in a competitive manner, but they want you to feel bad when they win. I know players like that. I don't play with players like that because when it's not fun, I'm like, okay, you won. I can see it. I'm out. And then I go about doing something that might actually make me smile. That is literally how I roll. But I can only navigate that if I know myself and I know what I'm in it for. And if what I'm in it for is compatible with what someone else is in it for, I'm cool. And this is why a lot of people, including a lot of spikes, actually enjoy playing games with me. Because in truth, guys, I just like to play. Win, lose, whatever. If I get the chance to play, most of the time I'm going to be happy. And the times I'm not happy, my feel bad moments, is when I lose by not being allowed to play. All right? That's when I get a little butthurt. When I spend the time building the list or building the decks, and I'm tabled turn 1 in the, if I lose first turn advantage, and then my opponent gets first turn and they don't decimate because, okay, fine, I can deal with 9/10 of my army left, but they take away everything. Okay. Where athletes are concerned, do I observe the difference in their attitude toward games based on different types of sports? Um, yes, yes. Because what they're an athlete in can often determine the lens by which they look at what sport means. Um, the best Magic player I have ever met in my life, okay, who owns a game store. That's a really big friend to the channel, Dice House Games in Anaheim, California. Check it out if you guys are in that area. He's an athlete, and his major sports were hockey and I believe football. Okay, um, so he was also very, very good at mathematics. Thus, one of the best Magic the Gathering players I've ever met in my life. And I mean, I've told stories about him before. When I worked for him, people would come into the store with the man with no name music coming in the back looking for them. World champions would come in. And, because they heard he was the guy to beat. And while he was trying to train me in how to play that way, was saying, yeah, you have to crush your opponent. You have to make them not want to come back and play you again or come back and play harder. And I'm like, yeah, that's not me. That's not who I am. I'm like, did you learn this from sports? And he's like, yeah, that's how you got to do it. When you're playing ice hockey, especially in Montreal, yeah, that's how you got to play. You got to dominate the people. You got to hurt them. You got to do all this stuff. And I'm like, at that point, is it still a game or is it work? That was literally my question. And he and I went rounds because growing up, I was never allowed to be competitive. Therefore, to be competitive is something that I just don't understand. Okay, it's literally not in my wheelhouse. But he saw that when I won games, I would win through creative methods, and the people who played games against me actually had a lot of fun. Yeah, they did get robbed a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, seriously, thank you for pointing that out, Gaming Fix. Yeah, the Dice House did get broken into and robbed. And yeah, so if you guys are in Orange County or you guys want to order some stuff from offline, do that. I heard you're the guy. I want to be the guy too. I can see that. I can see that, Zan. And so yeah, that was one of the big things. And while I was teaching people how to play games, I never made it to round 3. I was in a hyper competitive environment, and that wasn't my jam, you know. And I was kind of left at a place of I didn't have anyone to play with because of what we talked about the other day, which has a lot to do with what we're talking about involving 40K. The way that you learn something, well, okay, so I was taught by one of my physics teachers that the best instructor is he who lies with the straightest face. Corollary, never trust a good instructor. Because to learn the basics of anything, you have to come at it with a sense of belief. Okay? Every teacher comes in with a little bit of air of trust me, bro. It's just how things pan out. Okay? You have to believe that your math teacher knows math. And then once your math teacher tells you something, you have to believe it. Like a negative times a negative will always equal a positive. So if you've got negative 12 times negative 10, it doesn't matter if the answer is 120, but it will always be a positive number. You get what I mean by that? Except in calculus. Because once you hit the higher levels, everything that you were taught to take for granted, that you were taught to believe, has a bunch of loopholes. But you can't get there unless you believe unless you have a deep-rooted belief on those lower levels. Okay, so however you learn how to play games, tends to be how people believe games are played. So, to answer your question with athletes, athletes are taught that these games that they play are competitions. All right? You play with your team, and you're not playing a game. Okay? Baseball is just a game, but it's not just a game. It's a competition. You're trying to get the trophy. Soccer isn't a game, it's a sport. You see what I mean? When something when something passes through the threshold between game and sport, is one of the things. Foundation is always this. Higher levels, except, yes, exactly. You know exactly what I mean, Zenithades. You know exactly what I mean. Um, so so yeah, and a lot of athletes are taught that everything that you do against a person that has a winning condition is a sport, not a game. Most people that start the environment of competition, it crosses the realm of sports. Okay? Like real talk, not everybody is Tiger Woods, but most people that I've met that play golf, they don't really care about their score. They like hitting the ball, driving around, and drinking. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if your experience is a little different from mine. But that's what a lot of people are into. Okay? And a lot of folks treat games as sports. I am not a big fan of sports. And make no mistake, again, I'm an intellectual. And even when I was in junior high, I was part of the academic decathlon, which means we had 10 subjects that we used to compete against people with. I just liked learning. I had a much better time in jazz band because I liked playing music. I like to do things. I don't necessarily need to win at things. And that's kind of the point that I'm getting to. So, you have to ask yourself the question, are you playing a game or participating in a sport? Okay? And most people don't quite get that. And when I talk about tournament players, I talk about the win at all cost players, the spikes, the people that aren't playing a game but they are participating in sports. And it's a big difference. And if you don't believe me, I don't care where you are in the United States. If you go to any small town USA and talk about high school and college football, they don't treat it like a game. Okay? It's a sport. It is a thing that a person's identity revolves around. Okay? But again, this is part of competition and having stuff on the line and things like that. So I find that when a person has a background in sport, that's how they approach playing. Okay, that's how they approach playing things. So, since I'm a gamer and not a sportsman, yeah, it's a thing. How do I feel that martial arts fits into it? It's certainly an athletic activity that can very easily be competitive. It's true. But to answer that question, we have to take a look at the cultural context of both. Okay? Outside of the United States, and particularly in the countries where martial arts originated, okay, it is a staple of cultural identity. All right? That's a thing. And when they get competitive, like hey, what's up, no one, nobody? So when you look at wushu, okay, they compete in forms. Who can do the form better? And that's it. That's the closest thing a sport is. But wushu, tai chi, kung fu is part of the cultural identity of different parts of China. Just like karate is part of the cultural identity of Japan. Capoeira is part of the cultural identity of Afro-Brazilian. Now, martial science, they tend to be the sciences. Oh, stop. No, karate in the San Fernando Valley, thanks to Sensei Reese, falls into the martial science category. All right. And the martial science category is the art of hurting people, the science on how to cause harm. This is a tool used by places for survival, such as on the streets or in the military. And when it comes to the United States and martial arts, a lot of folks treat martial arts like a science that's looked at as a sport and not a way of life. Okay? I heard somewhere, correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect, that Kung Fu means way of life, where Karate means empty hand. But the whole martial arts thing, every art has a different philosophy, but those philosophies are based around the cultural context of the places that they were originated. It's that simple. All right. The United States, we do sports. That is what we do. We talk, I mean, even things that are games that cross that line into sports, i.e., competitive environments that have some sort of capital compensation, that no longer is a game. All right. And the place that I find is interesting to observe this are places like the UK, South America, when it comes to football. Okay. Because for some, football is life. Okay. And it's the thing that you do. It's a game that you play, especially when you're a kid. But here in America, we look at everything as a sport. A sport is something that you have to win. A game is something that you can win. So when we look at these things through those lenses, if you go in and ask yourself, am I in this competition to win, to affirm my identity? At that point, you are no longer playing a game. Or as my mom used to say, I ain't playing. And that's the thing. You don't play a sport, you play a game. And with sports, you ain't playing. Okay, this is work. Michael Jordan didn't play a game. Okay, he was being paid for a sport. Kobe, LeBron, basketball on that level ain't a game. Okay, it's not something you do in PE class. All right. That's why they woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and was practicing their jump shots and their drills and their picks and rolls. And, you know, because at that point it wasn't a game no more. It was a job. Skill, accomplishment in the context of lifelong practice. I can see it interpreted as a way of life or discipline. Yes. Yes. I'm guessing you mean fiscal compensation gaming fix life. I'm hoping you mean fiscal compensation. Yeah, luckily I have always been able to compartmentalize forensic compensation. I really hope you mean fiscal. Because if you're getting forensic compensation, this is not the channel for that. And before I get out of here, because we've been on for about an hour and 18 minutes, your recollection is that Kung Fu means something like skill, accomplishment in the context of lifelong practice. Yeah, thank you very much. You're on it today, Zan. I'm loving this, man. I'm loving this. You know, I might be batting my eyelashes at you for co-host position one of these days. I'm just saying. Not that it's a paid position, but you know, one of the anyway. So yeah, on that, I'm definitely. So I wanted to close out on this. So far, day 8. Now that I'm back at home and I've had some time to ingest the game that I played yesterday and rolled it around in my head. I do like Combat Patrol. I have a lot of fun with it as the game in and of itself. But I've only played one game with one person. So far, it's at 100%. Okay? There were a lot of things I forgot. A lot of the things, a lot of stratagems, a lot of nuances that I forgot, and that is to be expected on the very first time I play the game. Because we can study the rules all day, but when we're in it and we're thinking and the adrenaline is going and the heart is pumping, you're gonna forget some stuff. That's just a thing. Did I play a perfect game? No. I was very happy at Charles for pointing out the mistake that I made, or the mistake that I made. And when it came down to it, I'm like, I made the mistake. I ain't taking it back, and I ain't gonna feel bad about it. I charged something because I wanted to see what my guys do in combat, and guess what? They sucked. They sucked so hard. But I was able to take the rules as I understood them and play a fun game. So yeah. But with that, thank you guys for joining me here today. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, I would really appreciate it if you hit me up. If you hit me up. Oh, I put the wrong file in there. Bad. There we go. Yeah, you can always hit me up. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Xanatheus, for putting up the Discord thing. Neon Arlecchino isn't here today, so I'm gonna have to reach out to them. Thank you guys so much for joining today. Thank you for showing up. Serious special thanks to Carthulu, Gaming Fix Live, Xanathades as always. Zero Vero, thank you for showing up today. I see you out there, Vision Vendor. And to our new folks out there, thank you for showing up. I'm not going to call you out because you might just be lurking, and that might just be what you want to do. Super special thanks to one of our new people in chat today. That would be Pencil Image, okay, or the Pencil Mage. Thank you so much for showing up and participating in the conversation. I really do appreciate it. Xanathades has a link to the Discord. It's not the Patreon only Discord. That's for our Patreon. Yes, there's a Patreon. Go on, set up. I'm working on a couple of things, and I'm almost to where I need to be to start doing the real fun stuff on the Patreon. Yesterday was a sample. Okay, yesterday was a sample of the Patreon. As soon as I get the production stuff down to where everything is smooth and I feel good charging people. So thank you guys. And if you guys got any other questions or anything like that, feel free to hit me up at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHUDECK at gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at the same BACKINTHUDECK. Reach out to me on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all those YouTube things that they say. Because if you don't, the algorithm will not share or recommend anything I put up, because I do long form content, and as you can see, I try and keep everything positive. So since I'm not one of those channels that are, you are wrong about what you like and here's why, YouTube don't recommend me to nobody. So please engage with that material. And if you got any other questions or you like stuff like this, reach out on the TikTok at BidP. And if you're part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy because you are like me, middle-aged, and don't feel like trying to chase every single social media that's out there, and you're still on Facebook, join Deckers on the Book. Get to know us, show us what you're making, all that other stuff. So with that, I gotta say thank you for reaching out. And if anybody tells you that you can't like what you like because of the circumstance of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, neurospice, or your budget, because we all know that the trailer park ain't never too far from the hood, you can tell those people to take any of those cards and put them back in the deck. This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you guys for joining me, and we will see you next time, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time, on the dark side of the room.